All right, fam. So we're back for part two and the final part in understanding Second Ezra's chapter 15. All praise, honor, and glory belongs to our Heavenly Father, Yahawah, in the name of our beloved King Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, and through his Holy Spirit. All right, we give thanks always for the outpouring of the Spirit, for his grace and his mercy, for his love and his compassion toward us, for causing us to abound in the fruits of the Spirit and gifting us with everlasting life and for everything that comes with the Holy Spirit. All right. Discernment, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, the fear of the Lord. Right. Again, and all the fruits thereof. And so, because these things are his gifts, and we have to ask for them, pray for them daily, daily. That shows him that you really have a desire for it. You have to be occupied, right, in wisdom chasing. All right. This has to be your passion, not just something that you do in passing, something that you do to pass the time. It has to be your passion. You have to really, really love it. The Most High knows who loves it. All right. That's why scripture say that the Most High loveth nothing more than them that dwelleth with wisdom. All right. Because, again, he has so much that he wants to give us, but he wants you to want it. Again, it's nothing worse than trying to force something on somebody and they don't really want it. You want them to want it. All right. You have plenty to get, plenty to give, and you just want them to ask for it. You want them to want it so that you can pour it out, all right, on them liberally. All right. So if you want the spirit liberally, one, pray for it, ask for it. And two, you got to earnestly seek it. And it has to be a joy for you to receive it. You can't be one of these people who only like, wisdom when it benefits you or when it sounds good to you, when it doesn't condemn you. We all get condemned by things that we hear sometimes through the word. You're not supposed to hate wisdom or the deliverer because of it. Otherwise, that really is a testament of who you are, not of the message and not of the messenger. It's really about you. So you have to look inwardly. All right, but let's get on with the lesson. All right, ended at verse 27. We're going to end at verse 28. Begin at verse 28 today. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. So this is talking about the eastern nations rising. All right, the dragons symbolize fierce empires like China, Russia, Iran, right? Other quote unquote Arabic nations, so to speak. All right, and it symbolizes them moving with military might. And their roar like the sea means overwhelming numbers. All right, technology and weaponry. So Yahawah is showing Ezra world war mobilization. So, again, a modern example is China building its military, right? Russia invading Ukraine, Iran aligning with Eastern blocs. So these are the dragons preparing for global war. They are aligning themselves in accordance with prophecy. Verse 30. Also, the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled, bled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them, and consume some of them. And in their host shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings. So Babylon, right, is America, right? We kind of understand this, right? Babylon being America. And so Egypt being the house of bondage. All right, again, Babylon, America, the modern seat of the empire. All right. And that's the modern seat of the empire because it expands, it extends outside of America. You got to remember the EU. These are all one family. This is all one family that are splintered. They're split into factions in order to rule over the earth. It's kind of how it will be with Israel, except, it's going to be righteousness, right? We're going to all be one family and we're going to be split up over here, over there, everywhere. We're going to be split up all over, all throughout the earth, in order to govern the entire earth. All right. So you got Syria, Asia, which are the Eastern nations, all right, that are going to collapse into war. And so the prophecy, right, is naming ancient places to describe modern powers. And the spirits don't die, right? Nations regenerate. So Yahawah still calls them by their ancient names because he knows their identity, even if man renames them. So when you see terms like Carmanians and so forth, and Assyrians, your first mind is to think that, hey, this is talking about ancient times. This has to have already have been fulfilled. No, that's not true. It's just up to discernment, study, and through wisdom for you to understand, to learn, okay, well, who are the Assyrians today that this is talking about? Who are these Carmanians? This is how you have to study. All right. That's why praying for wisdom, knowledge, and discernment is very paramount when you're studying the scriptures. But this is how you're supposed to move. So you understand that these are names of ancient peoples, but this isn't it's not a reference to the ancient peoples. It's a reference to the modern versions of these people. All right. So, and they're going to be active in prophecy. All of these things must happen. They must come to pass. They indeed will. All right. So be a prophecy watcher. Be on the lookout to see these different things taking place. And that'll help you identify who's who, because the scriptures, they got to be true. So when you see the prophecies unfolding, even if you don't know who to watch, if you're just watching in general, and when you see things happen, you say, wait a minute, this happening. I read this. Okay, Second Ezra chapter 15, it said XYZ. And so, so the Carmanians got to be so and so. Oh, so these are the Assyrians that were being described in the scriptures. Got it. All right. So again, that is the act of studying. This is how you study. All right. And again, pray for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, discernment, and all of these things so that you have the ability to know what you're looking at, to know what you're hearing. All right. To have the spiritual eyes that you need in order to see prophecy unfolding and know how to attribute everything properly, because you get many people out here who call themselves prophecy watchers, but they're constantly wrong because they're watching the wrong people. They don't know who to watch. All right. Just like everyone who's watching those 1948ers, they're constantly being wrong about prophecy because they're looking at the wrong people as the Most High's time clock. They are right about Israel being the Most High's time clock, but they're watching the wrong people. And so instead of recognizing that, hey, these people aren't really fulfilling prophecy, they're trying to force prophecy to be fulfilled in these people by using things that don't make any sense. All right. And so we can't be like the senseless, doing the senseless. All right. We have to be better. And through wisdom, we are made better, different from the world. All right. Verse 34, behold, the clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. Just visualize in your mind clouds that are so menacing to look at. All right. That they're horrible to look upon. They are a fearful sight because they foretell wrath and great danger. It's going to be a terrifying sight for those who behold it. All right, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly, and dung of men unto the camel's house. All right, so this is showing like this prophecy, of the prophecies of destruction are not just about America, aka Babylon, right? It's about Asia also, all right, Europe also, all right, and Africa also, all right, everywhere. This is going to be judgment on a global scale. So Yahweh isn't singling out one nation. His plagues are going to be worldwide. So wherever wickedness and oppression abound, judgment follows. Everywhere his people went into captivity, judgment is coming. All right. They shall be visited with great judgment. No one is going to be exempt. So no one should be saying, oh man, it's a good thing I'm not America. Or maybe we should flee America and go to Asia. Maybe I should flee America and go to Africa or Europe or something. No matter where you go, there you are, and trouble is coming. You better believe it. And if you are the children of the Most High, trying to run anyway is just plain stupid, because we have a promise that, one, we're going to be okay when all of these things are happening. And two, he's going to gather us from everywhere we are. He doesn't need us to flee in order to save us. You see, that is his power, and his power is going to be on display when he does it, when he's destroying the world but preserving us all at the same time. His might is going to be on display. His might, his wrath, and his love are all going to be on display at the same time. Right? When the Israelites were in Egypt being protected in Goshen while Egypt was being decimated all around them, the Most High's wrath was on display when he was punishing Egypt, and his love and his mercy was on display for Israel. They saw his love in what he was doing to the enemies, but not doing it to them. Same for us. His love is going to be on display for us when he's troubling our enemies and preserving us. All right. They're going to know there's a difference between us and them when they are being extremely troubled, when they are being punished and judged, but yet they look at us and we seem to be untouched and unfazed. We don't seem to be suffering the way that they are. They're already kind of doing this. I see, a lot of these videos on social media where these people of the other nations, they're a little puzzled, like, what's going on with the blacks? What do they know? Why aren't they afraid like everyone else? Why aren't they fearful like everyone else? Why aren't they stressed out? Why aren't they depressed? Why aren't they suffering from anxiety like everyone else? Why aren't they being troubled by all of these things that are taking place in the earth the way everyone else is? And the easiest answer is to say, well, because we're used to these things. These things are new for everyone else. These aren't new for us. This is our norm, right? Welcome to our baseline. Welcome to our norm. Welcome to the Terror Dome, right? But secondly, the Most High is preparing a table before us in the presence of our enemies, and he's preserving us in the presence of our enemies. Again, we are having the Goshen experience in modern Egypt. All right. So be thankful for that. You know what I mean? Be appreciative. These judgments that you hear that are coming upon the earth and upon our enemies are supposed to make you thankful, and you're supposed to pray for them. It is a righteous thing to pray for the Most High to recompense our enemies for what they've done to us. All right, don't let them convince you, like they will try to convince you, that you're a hate group and you're hateful and you're a cult because you want the judgments of the Most High to be executed. All right. Verse 37, and there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon earth. Right? It's not going to be a good time. And they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them, they that see the wrath. And then shall there come great storms from the south and from the north, and another part from the west. And strong winds shall arise from the east, and shall open it. And the cloud which he raised up in wrath, and the star stirred to cause fear toward the east and west wind, shall be destroyed. And the star that was stirred to cause fear toward the east and west wind shall be destroyed. Is this a literal star? Is this talking about a person? Right? See, this is how you're supposed to navigate the scriptures. It says, the star stirred to cause fear. toward the east and west wind shall be destroyed. What does this mean, right? If you ask the modern day pundits, they'll say, well, this can be like a falling star or a comet or meteor or something like that. That's what it's kind of stuff that they'll say, right? But you got to have everything on the table when you're studying, when you're working with wisdom. Everything has to be on the table, and then you eliminate things. All right. You can't eliminate anything right off the bat because nothing is impossible unto the Most High. And more than one thing can be true at one time. So you got to say, well, what's literal and what's just figurative? All right. This is how you move. All right. How you should move in study. All right. Verse 40, the great and mighty clouds shall be puffed up, full of wrath, and the star, that they may make all the earth afraid, and them that dwell therein. And they shall pour out over every high and eminent place an horrible star. They shall pour out over every high and eminent place a horrible star. What is this constant reference to a star? All right, some stars going to be stirred up. The mighty clouds that are puffed up full of wrath are going to pour out over every high and eminent place a horrible star. We know the high and eminent places are the great nations and kingdoms, all right, such as America. All right. And even in those places, the places that are high are the wealthy places, the places where the rich abide, the places where the powerful abide. All right. So this is talking about, special judgments that are coming for the rich and powerful movers and shakers, the rulers of the earth. All right. Trouble is going to come for everyone, but there is a special trouble that's coming for the people that's high, holding the highest positions in wickedness. All right. So there will be a great fear and trembling in the east. Right. Strong nations will rise against strong nations, and blood will flow. So clouds full of wrath and storm will cover the earth, and powerful tempests are going to hurl destruction. So this is vivid imagery, all right, of global war and natural disasters intertwined. So just consider that this is what the end times are going to bring. Global war and natural disasters just going crazy all over the place. So nations are going to clash militarily while Yahawah unleashes storms, right? Quakes and upheavals among the peoples. And this dual chaos shows his judgment is not just man against man, but creation itself against the wicked. Remember, he said, and all of creation groaneth, all right, waiting for the manifestation of the sons of Yahawah. Creation is going to have a part in the fall of these people. Remember, see, we forget about this part. See, the Most High told us that us, his people, we are going to be made his battle axes and weapons of war. We are going to be instruments of his wrath that he's going to use against our enemies. He also said he's going to use the animals. The animals are going to be, instruments of his wrath. Insects, locusts, and things, right? Flies and lice, frogs, and so forth. And so will natural disasters are all going to have a hand in overturning the kingdom of the wicked. This is a full-out assault on the wicked from every angle. They're going to have no place to turn. All right. So let's go ahead and continue on. Verse 41. Fire and hail and flying swords. Flying swords. We know, again, swords is just a reference to weapons. So flying swords, that can be missiles, right? Nuclear warfare. All right. What other kind of flying weaponry is there? Whatever you can think of, whatever exists, that's all included in flying swords. All right. Fire and hail and flying swords. and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters. And they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of wood and grass of the meadows and their corn. And they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon and make her afraid. They who? See, you got to read again. See, this is what I'm trying to say. This is how you got to read. Like, wait a minute, who is it talking about? Fire and hail and flying swords and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters. Wait a minute. Doesn't the scriptures liken nations and people to waters, seas? Oh, so great waters, great peoples. And they shall break down the cities and walls. Who? These great peoples. Mountains and hills, right? Big kingdoms, small kingdoms. All right. Trees of the wood. All right. He's talking about people. And grass of the meadows. These are talking about people. All right. Smaller peoples. Because remember, now sin is using nature as like analogies for people. Trees, taller people, bigger people, stronger people, grass, lesser people, maybe the impoverished. All right. The weaker people, the people with lesser or no might. They're the grass of the meadows. All right. And they shall go steadfastly to Babylon and make her afraid. So from the sea, all right. All right. This can also symbolize naval warfare, right? Or even nuclear strikes launched from waters, right? Submarines, missiles, right? Babylon, America is especially targeted. Its cities are going to face fire, storms of destruction, and mourning. See, you got to put all of these things on the table for consideration when you are studying prophecy. Put it all up there, and you pray for discernment to see which is it. All right. You'll either be told it's this or it's that, or hey, it's both, because the Most High deals in duality like that. All right. Multi-layered prophecies and multi-layered catastrophes and destruction. All right. Verse 44, they shall come to her, Babylon, and besiege her. The star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. The star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. Hear this again, mentioning the star as if it's going to be some sort of instrument of mass destruction. What is this star? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what this star is. I do know that it's going to be something that is going to be used for destruction. So the star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. Then shall the dust and smoke go up unto the heaven, and they all that be about her shall bewail her. It sounds like what we hear in Revelation, right? About the people staring afar off, for the torments of Babylon, watching her go up in smoke. Same language here, right? So we know this is talking about Babylon, and it specifically points out that it's talking about Babylon. So we don't need to be in the dark about it. And they that remain under her shall do service unto them that have put her in fear. So what it sounds like to me is that, these nations are going to come against Babylon. They're going to wage war on Babylon. Babylon is going to come under attack and suffer great losses. All right, great losses. The rulership is going to take a great hit. All right. And then it says, and they that remain under her. So this can be the citizens of Babylon or America, or, which means it could be both, the other nations that are friends with Babylon, the ones who rely on Babylon. They got a partnership, they got relationships, they have agreements. All right. So even these people and says, And they that remain under her shall do service unto them that have put her in fear. So these people are going to now do service unto the other nations that came against Babylon. So they're going to turn on Babylon and go to serve the nations that came against her and put her in fear. So you can see this as the citizens of America turning on their own government in favor of the nations that waged war on the United States, and or it's going to be the other nations who before loved America or had great relationships with America and relied on America and did trade and business and all of that. Now they're going to turn on America and go join up with the other nations who came against them. All right. And again, I'm saying America because we always make reference to the head of a thing, right? The head of a thing. The way Yahawah has preeminence over the rest of us, though we are his body. All right. In the same way, the head of the wicked nations are referenced, but the whole body, right, is going to go down with the head. So although the head is being addressed, you're supposed to know that the whole body is being addressed. The same way when Yahawah says, if you have done it unto the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me, because they are his body. You can't do something to his body and it's separate from it's separate from him. No, if you did it if you hit my arm, you hit me. You stepped on my toe, you harmed me. You're right. He doesn't separate himself from his body. And in the same way, he doesn't separate the different parts of the wicked empire from one another, but he does address the head, because that's what you do, right? When you talk to somebody, you stand there, you look at them, and you speak to their face. You don't look down at their toes and speak to their toenails. You speak to their face. And that's what the Most High is doing. He's speaking to the face of wickedness, to the face, the head of Babylon. You understand? But not to America only. We get it? Okay. All right, so continue. It says, and thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon and art the glory of her person. So he got right to it. He got right to it. All right. So when it says in verse 45, and they that remain under her shall do service unto them, Asia is included. Asia is included. And so this is probably going to be like South Korea and some of the other nations that are really in bed with America. You know what I'm saying? Taiwan, right? So a lot of these other, maybe Japan as well. You know what I mean? So a lot of these other Asian nations that love America or have a relationship with them or are dependent upon America are all going to turn and do service unto them who have put her in fear. It says, woe be unto thee, O wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her. You see? And hast decked thy daughters in whoredom. So you're being just like America. All right. You're following the same wickedness. You want to be like her. It says that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. And you know what? The other kicker is, don't miss this part. The peoples of the nations within America who love this place are going to be destroyed. That includes our people, the Israelites, all right? The brothers and the sisters out here who love this place and don't want to see it destroyed, right? Those who benefit from this wicked society don't want to see this wicked kingdom destroyed. You will be destroyed with it. You will be a partaker of her destruction because you will be seen as one and the same. You are the damn toenails, right? You are the crust on the bottom of the foot of this place, but you're still part of it. You chose to be the crust on the bottom of his foot rather than be set apart unto Yahawah Ba'Hashem, Yahawah Shai. You're bad. You're bad. Yep. All right. It says, thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. All right. You just followed her. You followed Babylon. You wanted to be like Babylon. You wanted to go after the ways of this place. Again, it will be to your destruction. That's why he says, come out of her, my people, that you be not a partaker of her sins. All right. Meaning to distance yourself, untie yourself. All right. Don't cuff yourself to this place. Don't love it. Use it, but don't abuse it. Meaning don't like use it so much to the point that you love it and you need it. You overly use it. All right. We were never told that we couldn't use it. He just says, don't overly use it. Don't overly do it. All right. I fully understand, and I tell my family all the time, be prepared to lose everything because that's possible. All right. Everything that we got, everything that we gather, everything that we buy, because we're blessed to be able to have resources and to suffer no lack. But we still got to live as if these are all things that are they're temporary, right? These are temporal things that they can all go away, they can all vanish, and we got to live as if we expect them to go away one day. We don't love the stuff. We have it, we're thankful to have it, but if we lose it, we lose it. So what? We were told that this was going to be the case. So we thank the Most High for the time that we have, the resources that we have right now to be able to do this, do that, get this and get that. But we understand that we can lose it at any time. Thank you for the time that you allowed us to have it, for the time you allowed us to do it. But we understand that if at some point, it has to be taken away, we understand. If at some point, it has to go away, we understand. If at some point we have to abandon it and leave it, become pilgrims, get on the move, we understand. This stuff isn't meant to go with us. All right. We're just using this world at the moment while we're in it. But we want it to end. And we're happy to leave it behind when it's time because we're going to be on our way to something better. This is how we have to live. That's how the righteous do live. And if you're not, you should. All right. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore, saith the Most High, I will send plagues upon thee. But before I go too far, let's just talk about this a little bit more because this is a clear prophecy of America's destruction by a coalition of nations. All right. They're going to turn. See, because you get a lot of prideful Americans talking about how great the military is and how they don't got anything to worry about. And any nation who steps in front of us, who has an issue with us, we're just going to crush them. It's not even going to be, a fight. It's going to be easy work, quick work, easy work, no problem. All right. Talking about how they pity anybody who decides they want to come against us. Foolish, prideful people. They don't understand what's coming. What's going to happen to them is what happened to us. Because remember, everything that happened to us is going to happen to them. They didn't just take us down one nation. No, they jumped us. They came together with all the other nations. All the other nations, they came together. They banded together to form a super team in order to come against us. See, that's what they don't tell. They try to act as if we were just easily taken down, and it wasn't like that. You see, that's how they get it messed up when they don't teach real history. When you don't understand that our people were the indigenous people in America and that there were over 150 wars that it took before these people finally wave the white flag and say, you know what, we can't beat them like this. So then they start beating us with the pen. They started making treaties and then breaking the treaties, right? Making peace accords with us, and then being friendly with us for a time, getting our guards down, letting the warriors die off because hey, we don't really need the warriors anymore because things are better, things are different. Right now, the warriors are gone, and now they turn around and attack the defenseless. Right, the people who aren't ready, the people who thought that we were at peace. And then again, because these people have always been oath breakers, truce breakers, right? That's why, they're liars, like the devil, like Satan, can't be trusted. But this is how they had to take us down. And watch, why am I saying that? Because the United States is going to suffer the same thing, right? People who they think are at peace with them, nations they think are their friends, are going to turn on them during the time when they were at peace with them. And we just read that. We just read that happening. See, again, it happened to us. I'm telling you, you got to learn the patterns. You got to watch and see everything that happened to us is what's going to happen to the other nations. Plain and simple. They can't escape it, right? We know about the Psalms 83 conspiracy, the Confederacy. They had to gang up on us. What do you think that was with them coming over here, and the Dutch and the French and the Spaniards and the Portuguese and Britain, and you know what I'm saying? You name it, right? And the Hamites, right? The Moors, right? The Muslims, the Arabs, right? The Asians, all of these people, they all came together, formed one mighty power, all to take us down. And the same thing is about to happen to them. What they have done unto us will be done unto them, and there is no escape. Okay, so the same imagery here is found in Revelation 17 and 18, right? Many nations turn against Babylon and burn her with fire. So Yahawah himself is the one fueling this judgment. So you got to think of the global resentment toward the United States, right? Because nations are sick of its dominance, wars, the sanctions, the tariffs, the interference, constant interference, the constant big brothering, the constant bullying. They're tired of it. We're at the end of the movie, right? When the picked on, the bully, finally stand up to the bully, balls that fist up and knocks the bully on his ass, and everyone cheers. This is what's coming. All right. So again, prophecy tells us that these other nations are going to unite and burn her down. Everywhere we read, it's consistent in prophecy all throughout the scriptures. So don't let them tell you that the Apocrypha is not canon or it shouldn't be, believed. That's the foolish talking, the foolish rambling of people who are without the wisdom, who are without the Holy Spirit. That's why they talk like that. All right. Verse 49, it says, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence to waste thy houses with destruction and death. You see, again, these are all things that happen to us. This is how they were able to take us down. We had wars with these people. And so a lot of the men end up being killed throughout the wars. And what is that? So what did that leave? It left for the women to have to take control of the community. They had to govern the community. They had to become the heads of the community because the men were constantly at war. So in order to keep continuity, even within our people, the women had to become the heads or the chiefs and so forth, because the men were likely to go out into war and not make it back. You see? And so that's why even when you hear people talking about, when you hear about the indigenous community, the hey, we are Black and we are the indigenous of America community. They're not wrong about that, but what they're wrong about is the fact that when they say there was never any slavery, that's wrong. They're wrong about that. When they say that nobody was brought over here on slave ships, they're wrong about that. And they're also wrong about when they say, see, we had matriarchal societies over here. Not going all the way back. That happened as a result of war. You see, they stop only so far. They go only so far back and then they stop and turn stupid. The reason why they had those matriarchal societies is because those were born out of necessity because of all the wars. Prior to all the wars with the European nations, that wasn't so. There were patriarchal communities and societies. All right. And so, but again, this is part of the war strategy, though, right? Is to create matriarchal societies because they are easier to take down. Easier to take down than patriarchal societies. So look at it. Look at our nation. We were turned into a matriarchal community, a matriarchal society. That's why it was easy to take us down, you know, so easy to keep us down, I should say, because we were turned into a matriarchy, a gynocracy. It's easy to keep a gynocracy pinned down, to keep a matriarchy pinned down, because gynocracy and matriarchy, they don't fight against power. They conform to it. They find a way to get along with it and to serve it, because that's the nature of women, is to serve underneath uh, patriarchy, to serve underneath masculinity, to serve underneath men. So when the women rule, their natural inclination is to bow down and to assimilate and acclimate and acquiesce to the power of the man, the power of the men, the stronger power. Again, that's what happened in our communities to us as a people. They understood psychology and human nature and how it would be easier to destroy us and to keep us down and destroyed, to keep us suppressed and never rising if they can lift up the women and pull down the men. This was an act of war. That was a war move, a war strategy, not just something that happened by chance. It was the design. You see what I'm saying? They're creating widowhood. All right. That's what happens. So it's going to happen to our enemies. Widowhood. All right. And poverty. All right. Because poverty follows widowhood. All right. Famine, sword, and pestilence, all these things to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And the glory of thy power shall be dried up as a flower. The glory of thy power shall be dried up as a flower. The heat shall arise that is sent over thee. All right. And America, this nation, United States, is the glory of their power. Remember, because there's more than one nation, it's more than just America, but United States of America is the glory of their power, and it's going to be dried up as a flower. The heat shall arise that is sent over thee. Thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes. And that's what we became as a nation. Remember, we were likened unto a woman, and we were weakened as a poor woman with stripes, meaning who was beaten. And as one chastised with wounds, so that the mighty and lovers shall not be able to receive thee. Meaning you're going to be so beaten and hurt and ugly, mired, that your lovers aren't going to want you. They're not going to want you. You're going to be useless to them. You're not going to be beautiful anymore. It's talking about America. America's not going to be beautiful anymore. Not going to have anything about it that's going to be appealing. She ain't going to have that big butt no more. That BBL, America's BBL, is going to be surgically removed. Yeah. Those breast augmentations. Yeah. That's going to be removed. Yeah. Everything she had that to help beautify her and make her appealing and attractive is going to be taken away. Nobody's going to want her anymore. This is what it's talking about. All right. So, Babylon, America, is described as a widow, right? Meaning cut off and vulnerable. So Yahawah, he lists the curses: economic collapse, poverty, right? Food shortages, famine, death and disease, pestilence, and war, the swords. So these judgments, they don't just target leaders, they target households, children, and families of the common people. Remember, again, these were the curses, the plagues that came against us when these people took us into captivity. And the same way we went into captivity is the same way they are going into captivity, because the Most High is fair, he's just, and he's balanced, right? A false weight is an abomination unto the Most High. He is just, and we rely on his justice. And the other nations should be terrified, considering that the Most High is a just God. Verse 52. Would I with jealousy have so proceeded against thee, saith the Lord, if thou hadst not always slain my chosen. He says, I wouldn't even have done this to you if you didn't always have slain my chosen. What you did to Israel, what you did to the Negroes, what you did to my people, oh, you're going to pay for that. All right? You were exalting the stroke of thine hands and saying over their dead when thou was drunken, set forth the beauty of thy countenance. All right? Because that's what they did to us. All right? Beat us, killed us, maimed us, raped us, all of these great evils they did unto us, and then try to tell us to smile, to be happy, dance, sing us one of those songs of Zion, fix your face, right? Like your mama used to tell you when you was little after she done slapped you across your face. Fix your face. Fix your face. What? You just knocked spit from my mouth. You done knocked the moisture out of my eyeballs. And you go command me to fix my face? But that's what they did to us. They were unreasonable in their demands and their requests, right? Harm you and then tell you to cheer up and be happy about it. That's what they did. All right. It says, the reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom. Therefore shalt thou receive recompense. Guaranteed. Like as thou hast done unto my chosen. Again, he's telling them why again. Because you did it unto my chosen. He says, like as thou hast done unto my chosen. So the same things you did to my chosen, saith the Lord, even so shall the Most High do unto thee. That should be a fearful thought. If I was the heathen nations and I read this and I understood who the Israelites are, but I didn't understand history enough to know exactly everything that happened to them, and I really wanted to know what was coming, man, I'll be uncovering stones. I'll be trying to read everything I can to see, what did my people do to the Negroes? What did my people do to these black folks? Because that's what we got coming. So let me go read and find out what to expect, what's on the way. But because most of them don't even know that we're the people, they don't know. So they don't realize that this is talking about what their ancestors have done unto us, that they are going to have to pay for, because without them knowing, they are their ancestors, because regeneration is real. In the same way, we Israelites right now who are here, we are the blessed generation who have been put here in this time to see the coming of our King. Or you are the Israelites who have been brought here in this time to be destroyed because you rejected and denied the King. So, and on the same token, the people of the other nations, the same ones who crucified them, the same ones who put us in slavery, the same ones who did so many great evils to us all throughout the ages, they have been brought back to face judgment. He brought them back in this time so that they can face judgment. That's why when you see them saying, well, but I never owned slaves, I say liar. And you don't know. You don't know what you've done. But the Most High knows what you've done. He knows if you deserve judgment or blessings. He's not gonna rain down, judgment and wrath on someone strictly because they are of the nation, because he recognizes righteousness. He recognizes it, but it has to be there though. Even if you had a so-called, good life and you did good in this life, but in your last one, you were a horrible individual, you still got to pay for that. All right. Doing good in this life didn't wipe out what you did in the last one. But on that note, I speak as a man, because maybe the Most High allowed them to wipe out, their to wash themselves clean by doing good. Maybe they were able to do that. Because I'm not him and I don't know his mind, I'm not going to speak for him and say that that's impossible, because nothing is impossible with the Most High. And I can see him saying, you know what? I gave you a chance to do better. And in this life, you did better. So because of that, I'm not going to punish you for your last life the way I could. I'm going to give you credit for what you did in this life. So you're probably still going to get punished, but it's not going to be as bad because you did kind of do some good stuff in this life that made your punishment lesser than what it would have been. You get what I'm saying? When you know the highest, you got to consider these things. All right. And again, one more time for verse 56. Verse 56. Like as thou hast done unto my chosen, saith the Lord, even so shall the Most High do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief. All right. All right. So he's like, yeah, you all who lived in luxury and pride, you're going to be suddenly humble. All right. All you who oppress my chosen, you're going to face payback. So the same slavery, the same abuse, and the same violence you used against Israel will return upon your own head. And this is divine justice. All right. The same treatment that nations gave Israel will be mirrored back to them. All right. History's slave masters, colonizers, and oppressors will taste their own medicine. No doubt about it. And prideful Babylon, right, that sat as a queen, per Revelation 18:7, will be thrown down in shame. No escaping it. Verse 57, thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy cities shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. Yikes. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. Thou, as unhappy, shall come through the sea and receive plagues again. All right, so he's saying your cities are going to be desolate. Your land is going to be wasted. Your children are going to be killed with the sword. And your reward is what you earned for your pride, for your idolatry, and for your bloodshed. So the fall of Babylon is complete devastation. It's going to be empty cities, right? Wasted lands, death in the streets. And this is not symbolic only. This is prophecy of America's literal downfall through war, through famine, and through divine judgment. No escaping prophecy. All right, verse 60. And in the passage, they shall rush on the idol city and shall destroy some portion of thy land and consume part of thy glory, and shall return to Babylon that was destroyed. Again, and in the passage, they shall rush on the idol city and shall destroy some portion of thy land and consume part of thy glory, and shall return to Babylon that was destroyed. And thou shalt be cast down by them as stubble, and they shall be unto thee as fire, and shall consume thee and thy cities, thy land and thy mountains, all thy woods and thy fruitful trees shall they burn up with fire. Thy children shall they carry away captive, and look what thou hast, they shall spoil it, and mar the beauty of thy face. All right, sounds like what happened to us. So those who remained in Babylon, modern Egypt, house of bondage, will be punished by the sword and by famine until they are destroyed, for they trusted in idols and the works of men rather than Yahawah. So even those in lands of bondage, all right, scattered Israelites will face judgment if they cling to Babylon's ways. This is why it's important. That's why he says, again, come out of her, my people, that ye be not a partaker of her sins, meaning her punishment for her sins. You're going to join with her if you cling to her. All right. So Yahawah, he's not sparing Israelite rebels who worship idols, all right, who love Babylon's system or reject his covenant. So deliverance is for the faithful, and destruction awaits the rebellious. Bottom line, no way to get around it. All right. So, that'll be the end of this one. Yahawah willing, you guys were all edified and you benefited. All right. You know what? We're just reading and studying together, gathering the gems out of the scriptures. All right. Being reminded of what's coming, right? He puts us into remembrance of what has been, what is, and what shall be. And these things are supposed to provoke us to seek his face early while he may be found. Hearing all of these things that must come is supposed to terrify you into getting it in gear. All right. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So he has to terrify you first to get you to desire wisdom. Now you're scared enough that you can receive wisdom now because now you're terrified. Because in that being terrified is proof that you believe in him. That's why it's the beginning of wisdom, because you're not going to be terrified of something you don't believe in. You see? So when you believe in him that he is, and you hear what he says he's going to do, that should cause terror. And that fear is what will cause him to begin to increase you in wisdom. So that's the beginning. And the end is not yet. All praise, honor, and glory belongs to our Heavenly Father, Yahawah, in the name of our Heavenly King, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, the beloved, the only begotten of our Father, the firstborn of many brethren, all right, with whom I expect humbly, I say this humbly, and I desire to have a shared inheritance with him in the kingdom of our Father, to live and reign with him 1,000 years, to serve him, to serve under him, all right, to be with him everywhere he is, all right. I'll see you guys on the next one, Yahawah willing. Reach out, all right, to someone else. Be a blessing to them whenever possible. Each one, reach one. Shalom.